I gotta say, I'm disappointed with your performance in these sessions. You haven't been maintaining your quota for the week of watching and rewatching my videos every day. It's very important for your well-being that you watch those videos. I have sunglasses in my hair. God damn it. Oh, goodness. Hi, I'm Gremlin Lord. Welcome to Gremlin Lord Live, episode 32. You've got issues. So these are not my glasses, nor are these the glasses in the thumbnail. As you can probably see, this is a little choppy. The video is a little choppy. These aren't prescriptions, so I probably shouldn't be wearing these. But audio-wise, it sounds fine. We did a little test yesterday to see how things would turn out, and they turned out okay. So here we are. So today we are going to be talking about 4 movies in which all the characters are in desperate need of therapy. And those movies are Tony, Batman, The Mask of the Phantasm, From Dusk Till Dawn, and Practical Magic. I don't know why. It's only 4 movies. I don't know why I can't remember the 4 movies every single time. So let me sit back a little bit. Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. It should be lurking. How dare you? How dare you? What are we going through? We're going through IMDb. I saw your message shortly before I started. It means you won't see me wearing these glasses, which are not the glasses in the video. I didn't even realize these were sitting here on the table. I was like, I could have wore those. But I look good in glasses. I don't need glasses. I have perfect 20/20 vision, according to my doctor about 15 years ago. So I don't know. I don't think they really do much for me. Makes me look kind of like a hipster. I'm not entirely sure we need to be a hipster. Yeah, I don't know if they're prescription. They probably are prescription. There's not much of a difference in visuals, so I don't know. I'm assuming they're my sister-in-laws. But they're not the ones in the picture. The pictures are just photoshopped on my face. But anyway, let's go ahead and start talking about our first therapy session. If we have any idea which therapy session you would like to start with, we could start then. We got Batman, Mask of the Phantasm, Tony, Practical Magic, and From Dusk Till Dawn. A lot of older movies here. Older movies. I think I'm going to choose Tony. Because Tony is a movie that apparently I am in the minority about. Because it turns out a lot of people really liked Tony. And I was bored out of my mind. The lighting isn't so great in here, I'm sorry. Would you like to rate Tony? I would not like to rate Tony. I haven't even done my review yet. All right. Tony. A 19-year-old Anthony Bourdain travels to Provincetown and stumbles into the chaotic world of a restaurant kitchen, setting off a summer that will shape the course of his life. Rated R. I'm pretty sure it's rated R. So as I said in my little TikTok and my short, I know nothing about Anthony Bourdain at all. I know that he's a chef. I knew he had a TV show at some point, and I know that he's dead because he took his own. That's the extent of what I know about Anthony Bourdain. I know a lot of people were really upset about him when he passed, and I had no connection to him. So The movie takes place in 1975. There's a quote in the beginning of the movie that is from Anthony Bourdain himself, talking about how he was a not so great person growing up in his youth, and he deserved, getting beat up and stuff like that. And that's exactly what the movie is. So, Tony, or Anthony Bourdain, is played by Dominic Sessa, who was the main character of The Holdovers. And it's kind of a similar character. I mean, he was also a butthead in The Holdovers until he learned a lesson. You got Antonio Banderas as Chef. He has a name. I don't remember what it is. He's the chef of the restaurant where Tony ends up working. You have Emilia Jones, who I don't know, plays Nancy, his love interest, the woman he stalks. And you have Leo Woodall. Again, Leo Woodall in another Regal Mystery movie, who plays Sal. This movie does not come out until the 21st, so not till next week. But it was a Regal Mystery movie 2 weeks early. Leo Woodall was in Nuremberg, and he was also in Tuner. This is his, I believe, third Regal Mystery movie. Also, that Stavros Halkias guy is in this. Heavyset balding comedian. He plays himself in this film. Not himself, he plays a character named Stavros. But I think I've seen him in 2 movies now, and he's just himself. He's just his own character. So, everybody else isn't really anybody I know. So, if you hear any noise in the background, the dogs are chewing on toys. So, there's a little bit of a chopping back there. I will say, while watching this movie, I was bored. I was really, really bored. And it's not like it's terrible. It's just, I just didn't find it entertaining that much. Like, Dominic Sessa as Tony, I couldn't tell you if it's a good impersonation of Tony, if it's a good caricature of Anthony Bourdain or not, because I don't know Anthony Bourdain. I don't know his mannerisms. I don't know how he talks. I don't know anything about him. So he's not like a pop culture figure that I know anything about. So my coaster got stuck to my water. So if you have seen the movie and you think he did a good job, let me know. I don't know. Personally, I found him annoying, which he's supposed to be annoying. I found him obnoxious, and he's supposed to be. And he's just kind of a terrible human being, which he's supposed to be. But my issue with it is that he's a terrible human being for the first, hour and 40 minutes of the film, leaving only 6 minutes for him to be better. So I'm sitting here watching this movie, waiting for him to turn over a new leaf, maybe not steal from the guy who helped him out a bunch throughout the whole movie. No, he's just a terrible person the whole time, and it's continuously bad. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's who he is. He's a much better person as he got older. It's like, okay, great. But in this movie, in the confines of this film, he doesn't get better until the last 6 minutes of the movie. Okay? And that is the only thing that I know. So, if you're going to make a film that shows somebody who's really rough around the edges but becomes better, then it needs to happen in the film. Otherwise, you have this super unlikable, nasty character that I don't care if he lives or dies. I couldn't care if he got caught in a grease fire and the movie shifted focus. Like, who cares about him? You know, he's not an underdog in this movie. He's actively a weirdo. He stalks one of his former classmates, like literally stalks her. He lies to every single person, including the woman he's stalking. Lies to his parents, steals from his parents, steals from other people. Drunk in public, property damage. Even when he's like trying to turn things around and working in the kitchen, he's still lying to the people in the kitchen. He's still stealing. He's still doing all these things that are like, he's not a good person. I just kept waiting for him to become better. And he never does. Till the very end of the movie, right before the credits roll, he seems like a better person. It's just like, God. And I think that maybe some people who may have really enjoyed the movie and are Anthony Bourdain fans are taking this film as the precursor to the man they already know. So they already have this idea of who Anthony Bourdain is. And this movie allows them to see him prior to that. And for me, who has no idea who Anthony Bourdain is, other than this film, I don't get to have that experience. I don't get to have the forethought of who he's going to become. Because to me, this is all he is, this terrible person. So, and it's boring. It's boring watching a terrible person be terrible with no prospect of getting better. Let's see. He does this thing, Dominic Sessa, with the character where he does this. Always, like a Kubrick stare. But you see it from other angles and stuff when he's talking to characters, but his head is always tilted forward, and he's always looking up at the characters like, I'm a writer. I'm working on a novel. And it's like, I don't know if Anthony Bourdain does that, because I don't know anything about Anthony Bourdain, but if he does do that, okay, spot on. If he doesn't do that, then I don't know why he's doing that. But it was I love how you just hear her chomping on that toy. It was constant. Over and over and over. Every time you saw him, the camera was like below him, and he's just looking down. My back is gonna be sweaty. I have a Phillies Fanatic pillow here for my lower back. And it's just like, its head is like in my spine. It's gonna make my back really sweaty. But it feels so much better. I did like Antonio Banderas in this part. Banderas. He's handsome. He's wise. Some of his lines I had a hard time understanding, and it's not just because of his accent, it's because he's like whispering it with the accent, and it doesn't feel like the best take was put in the movie for that. Leo Woodall plays a terrible person in this movie as well. But his terrible person has so much more terrible person charisma than Dominic Sessa as Anthony Bourdain. Like obviously Anthony Bourdain's the main character, and he's supposed to be a terrible character. But Leo Woodall's Sal is actually a much better terrible character. He is way more personable. He has like the more charisma. He's more outgoing, and it's just like he has a reason to be a terrible person. And I happen to enjoy his performance more than Dominic Sessa, and I think that's really funny. The girlfriend, Amelia Jones, she was fine. I mean, nothing of real importance. A lot of the supporting cast are just, themselves. She's just kind of there to try to move Tony to be a better person, which he doesn't. And he treats her like crap, but she still falls for him. I mean, I don't know if they ever got together. I never read his book, Kitchen Confidential, I think it's called, or something like that. So I don't know if anything ever came out of that, but if you know, let me know. Ugh. And then finally, this was directed by Matt Johnson and partially written by Matt Johnson. And if you don't know who Matt Johnson is, which I didn't, he is half the crew of Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, which was a YouTuber web series, and then one of the Regal Mystery movies, which I absolutely did not like. And I didn't know that going in. Hi, time traveler. Oh, time traveler. But after hearing it afterwards, I was just like, oh, well, that makes sense. Because I didn't like this movie, and I didn't like Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. So the fact that he's connected to both of those makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's some good shots in the film, and there's some, it's not like terribly made, but writing-wise and stuff, it's just, I don't know. Some of this dialogue's really clunky. I did enjoy some of the music. Other music I didn't know. And I'm talking about like pop music, not the score, because the score wasn't really anything I really noticed. We talked about the cinematography. I didn't like the kitchen stuff. I thought the kitchen shots would be a lot more focused on the kitchen stuff. Like, he's being taught how to open oysters and stuff, but obviously they're going to show him because he's a terrible person. Tony's a terrible person, so he's not paying attention. And it's just like, okay, but can we see Antonio Banderas like do this stuff? Like, I'm curious. I don't need to see Dominic Sessa doing like this. Because if he's doing that, then the person teaching him is going to see him doing that too. Which would be really, really odd for him not to see that. Oh, there we go. Like, how come I can't like click up? There we go. Anyway. In case you didn't know, Time Traveler, we're talking about Tony, which is a movie about Anthony Bourdain's younger years. It was a Regal Mystery movie on Monday, this past Monday. I did laugh, though. The movie did have quite a few funny parts. I mean, my audience laughed harder and more often than I did. But I did laugh. Just like Nirvana, the band, the movie, whatever. I laugh during that, too, sometimes. But I won't lie, some of my audience were pretty terrible. I had a couple back here who, they were just talking the whole time. And she was talking the whole time. Like, talking about the situations that are happening on the screen. And at one point, they show an envelope that says, just in case. And she reads it out loud. She says, just in case. The envelope said just in case on it. What do you think that means? And I'm like, it means use it just in case. Like, shut up. You retracted your high? That's weird. Why would you retract your high? He's going back in time. The Time Traveler. And then there was a group of like teens. I know, I'm being a boomer. It was a group of teens, and it's like the one big emotional moment between Antonio Banderas and Dominic Sessa's Tony, and they're having this heart to heart where they finally confront each other. Oh, you're saying hi again? I'm like, oh, it's like time travel. What's the deal with time travel? And they're having this moment, and it's very quiet. And, they're having this conversation, and then you just hear these teenagers start cracking up. And I'm like, this isn't a funny part. This is like the most emotionally charged part of the film. No problem, time traveler. And I got so annoyed by it, but I realized, later, that's what teenagers do. That's what I used to do as a teenager, right? You have to be nonchalant about everything. You can't show emotion in front of your friends, dude, bro, right? You gotta laugh at serious things, or else somebody might think you care. I can't care about anything, which is a very teenager attitude, which I'm glad to see teenagers haven't changed since I was one. But they're still doing it. I was like, God, it's like don't come to this movie. But yeah, so I'm curious if other people liked it because they like Anthony Bourdain. That's what I'm curious about. And I don't know if there's any Anthony Bourdain fans in here. Like, are you looking forward to seeing this movie, or have you already seen it? I mean, obviously, it hasn't come out yet, but there was an early showing for the Regal Mystery movie, and then they also actually were doing early screenings for other people on the same night that there was the Mystery movie, which is pretty crooked of Regal, charging people full price for a ticket to go see Tony, and then having it as the Regal Mystery movie for $5. Or $7.50 in other places. So you're paying $16 to $18 for this ticket, and I'm seeing it for free. Well, I mean, I did see it for free, but I'm seeing it for $5, which is pretty crappy of them to do. They did the same thing with Sing Sing when that was a Regal Mystery movie. It was playing at multiple theaters as an early screening, and they. Yeah, it's pretty rude about it. So, in my humble opinion, I see that the stream is still laggy, but as long as my audio isn't laggy and chopped, I think it's fine. This isn't my home, so I'm not used to this internet. It's pretty choppy, actually. I'm going to lower the quality. Oh, it's already at 480p. Yeah, it's still choppy. it's just the internet. Hey, it's Junaid. Welcome back. Welcome back. Those are not mine. We're just finishing up talking about Tony, the new biopic about Anthony Bourdain when he was younger, 1975. One more thing about it. It's desaturated. They desaturated the color in this movie, which I've complained about in previous reviews. I don't enjoy excessive desaturation in films to show that it's taking place in the past. I mean, movies like Saving Private Ryan, okay, right? World War II. But then you also have like Indiana Jones, which takes place around the same time, and that's not desaturated. You know what I mean? So it's like this idea, because like the characters go see Jaws at the drive-in in this movie. Hello, Connor. And Jaws, even though that was made in 1975, is very colorful, right? I mean, obviously it's taking place in the time when it released, so it makes sense that that's not desaturated. I just think it's funny to show us that this is 1975, that we have to take the color out of the film. I think it's silly, especially in this like beach town where they have a lot of fun colors and banners and flags and all that jazz, and everything's just like zapped of color. It annoys me so much. Especially for smaller films like this. I feel like it's probably to cover up some of the CGI stuff. Because I talked about this with Companion, where you can tell it's going to be something CGI because things start taking on like a bluish hue. And if you keep things desaturated and kind of have that bluish hue all the time, then the background that you're CGIing which for this movie would probably be to get rid of modern day looking stuff, would work a lot better. So, like, I get why it's done, but visually I do not enjoy it. All right, let's give a rating to Tony, which will release on the 21st of this month, kids. So, my score is definitely going to be lower than the vast majority of people's scores. So, take it with a grain of salt. But I am leaning towards... Sorry, you hear the little pitter-patter of doggy footsteps. Like, I don't want to make it like... Are you limping? Are you okay? You okay? Are you okay? Just sitting there. Hi. Come on. Oh, you're on camera. Everybody in the world see you. Pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter. There we go. Little rock house now. See what you started? I'm going to give Tony a 4.5 out of 10. I honestly was just bored with the film. Because the main character, Anthony Bourdain, played by Dominic Sessa, is a bad person, and he has no progress in the film for 95% of the film. And the last 6 minutes is when he finally slightly turns over a new leaf, and that is the only time you see him grow as a human being. And while that, do not hit the tripod things. And while that may be true in his life, it doesn't make for a good film, in my opinion, because I can't root for him. Because he's lying, cheating, and stealing, and treating people like garbage for almost 2 hours. For months at a time. So there. It is sitting at a 7.6 on IMDb. People are talking about how Antonio Banderas should have an Oscar nomination. And oh my God, this movie is great. This is the new standard for biopics. I did see that. Biopics. Biographies. Biopics. 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 9 out of 10. That doesn't have a score. 8 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10. Average film that will definitely get overrated. Versus next style. The story's average, agreed. Break it down. A guy lies to his parents for stealing off them, goes to stalk a girl hundreds of miles, if not more away, turns up with her picture, asking townspeople if they've seen her. It's sociopathic behavior, not remotely romantic. That is true. He has her yearbook photo, and he's walking around town saying, have you seen this girl? Have you seen this girl? And that is pretty psycho. And then he lies to her about why he's there. All this because mommy gives him a bit of tough time. I don't think it's all because of that. His mom is pretty mean to him, but he's also deserves it because he's a terrible human being. So the moral... Jesus! The moral of the story is just be selfish. That was the loudest thing ever. Just be selfish. Do what you want and you'll get an easy life handed to you. Or if you be honest about your criminal level stalking, the girl will just forgive you and love you. Yeah. It is getting rave reviews though. It is getting rave reviews, but I'm giving it a 4.5 because it is less than average to me. I mean, I could even be persuaded to give it a 4, to be honest. Makes me curious as to why it's getting rave reviews. I mean, I'm not saying I am the judge of all film, because I am not, but I do find it interesting. I always find it interesting when a movie gets either really, really high praises or really, really low praises, and I'm the exact opposite of it. That the things they praise it or tear it down for are the things that I like or dislike. You know, I always find that really interesting when those are the type of things, reviews that I see. Excuse me. Anyway, Tony, 4.5. Comes out August 21st. See it, don't see it, knock yourself out. All right, now, next movie. We have 3 more movies. We got Batman Mask of the Phantasm, Practical Magic, and From Dusk Till Dawn. Does anybody want anything specific before I make my own choice? I'll give you 10 seconds to decide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. All right. So I'm just going to go in order that I have here. Batman, Mask of the Phantasm. They probably like, how does Batman, a cartoon movie, fit into this whole group of other movies? And that's a good question. Honestly, I was looking for movies in my digital collection, because I don't have all my movies with me here, that I haven't seen, at least in a while, and how I could equate or connect them all together. And I know I've seen this actually. Not probably. I know I've seen this movie as a child. I didn't remember a lot about it, nor did I remember really liking it, because I was kind of bored with it. And now that I've watched it as an adult, I know why I was bored of it as a kid, because it's not really a kid's movie. This has a very adult themes in this film. So, Batman is wrongly implicated in a series of murders of mob bosses, actually committed by a new vigilante assassin, the Phantasm, which I don't even call them the Phantasm in this movie. This is a rated PG movie. It's 1 hour and 16 minutes, and it came out December 25th, so Christmas 1993. And it was a very large flop. It had a $6 million budget, and it only made $5.8 million, so not even its budget. Massive flop. It was the first animated Batman movie, though, for this DCU animated universe, you know, because it's Batman animated series, Superman the animated series, Batman the new animated series, Batman Beyond, you know, Justice League, all that jazz, all interconnected here. This was the first one. When I was talking about how these themes are very adult in nature, it is very adult in nature. They talk about the loss of parents. They don't actually say that his parents were murdered in this. I think it's just assumed, because we should know that his parents were murdered. Grief, your promises to your dead parents, being a playboy, you know, because they talk about how he's always picking. Somebody's like, Bruce, you always seem to pick the wrong women. And it's like, yeah, because he's Batman and he doesn't actually want a wife. But that denotes that he is dating people and possibly having relations with them that fail. So addressing that he's not this loner dude hiding in his mansion by himself, he's actually getting his bone on with a bunch of beautiful women, but is purposely not having relationships, is a pretty adult theme, in my humble opinion. I mean, we see Andrea Beaumont, who was one of his former flames. She's having a full conversation with her dead mother at her dead mother's grave. You know, it's all very adult. It's a very noir film. I mean, the cartoon series, the animated series, is also very noir. But everything in this is very 50s, 60s type of look, just like the cartoon, where all the cars look like they're from that time frame. The characters have like, dirty, hairy snub pistols and stuff like that. There is some really fun shadow play in this movie. Apparently, this was supposed to be a 2-part episode, but then Warner Brothers said, "Hey, we want to make this a movie," and they had to go back and like make it movie and change the anthropomorphic ratio. But yeah, I won't lie, it does feel a little weird, and it does feel a little outdated at this point. I mean, I can still appreciate the art style of it. I mean, this is my childhood art style. I watch the cartoon every Saturday and watch the reruns every morning. So it's definitely something I have a great connection to. But they did have this, it's like the speckled texture style where like it looks fine on buildings. They'd be speckled because it's like concrete. But then like a desk would be speckled, which doesn't really make as much sense. It's a very 90s style type of thing. Oh, I was like, why did I write hand and glove? There was a scene where Batman hands somebody something and he doesn't have a glove on. And then when it cuts back to him, he has his glove on. It's an animation issue. And I only noticed it because the hand is, white. And everything else is really dark and shadowy. Let's see. I already mentioned it was a theatrical failure, which again, because kids couldn't get into it. It's not full of action. You're not seeing a lot of the Batman bad guys. You do see Joker. So you do get Mark Hamill as the Joker. His character fit very nicely into this. You have, obviously, Kevin Conroy as Batman. And I recognized Andrea Beaumont's voice the whole time. I was like, God, who is this actress? Who is she? And it's Dana Delaney, who plays Lois Lane in the Superman animated series. So I was just like, that's why she sounds so familiar. She's Lois Lane. You got Stacy Keach. He's in this. Dick Miller. Abe Vigoda. Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. He plays Alfred. So Bob Hastings is Commissioner Gordon as usual. Verna Watson. I know who she is visually. She's on I think she's on Fresh Prince. Anyway. Let's see. There are a lot of flashbacks in this movie. So the movie really explores Bruce Wayne's grief with choosing to be Batman as a promise to his parents to protect people, and for foregoing having a romantic life. And then enter Andrea Beaumont, the woman he was in love with. He proposed to her. He was going to marry her. Her dad's an accountant for crime bosses. So there's a bit of an odd thing there. And he already was practicing being Batman at that point when he was dating her. He wasn't Batman himself, but they show him wearing like a ski mask and black clothes, so he wasn't Batman, but he was doing the actions of Batman. And he was ready to give it all up for her. He was like crying at his parents' tombstone, and like talking about, I know I made you the promise, but I can't. Did I write down what it was? No, there's a really good line about him talking about love and stuff. I didn't write it down though. But anyway, obviously he doesn't marry Andrea Beaumont because she goes away with her dad, and he becomes the Batman as we know him today. But this movie involves her coming back into his life, back to Gotham, and him having these feelings again. But the movie is told through a lot of flashbacks. I mean, we flash back a lot to young Bruce Wayne, early 20s Bruce Wayne. And that's probably another reason why this movie didn't do well with kids, is because kids don't want to see flashbacks of him not being Batman, especially to love a woman. You know, as an adult, I can appreciate his struggles and all that, but as a kid, it's like I want to see Batman punching people in the face. I want to see Mr. Freeze shooting his ice gun, the Joker squirting his. I don't want to see Batman crying because he's in love with Andrea Beaumont. You know, who wants to see that? I did really enjoy the score, especially in the beginning of the movie. It was a really nice score. At the end, though, there's this weird jazzy R&B song by Tia Carrera, and I was just like the credits start rolling, and it's like a saxophone comes out. I'm like, what is this? But it kind of reminded me of like the live action Batman movies, which would have like songs tied into them, like "Kiss from a Rose" or like that Prince album. But it just felt odd. It felt very 90s to me. But overall, I mean, it's an entertaining movie. It's a little sloppy with all the flashbacks. It can be hard to kind of follow here and there. You're kind of like, oh wait, this is a flashback, or oh wait, this is that. Because once he's Batman in the flashbacks, it kind of blurs things together. You know, it's like, oh, is this current Batman or past Batman? Because he doesn't look any older when he's in the Batman suit. But I definitely appreciate it a lot more now as an adult than I did as a kid. So, as for a rating for this movie film, Batman and the Mask of the Phantasm. Also, the Phantasm is barely even a character. Like, we see the Phantasm, like, kill some gangsters, and Batman doesn't really have a lot of interaction with them either. I mean, I feel like the Joker has more of an interaction with the Phantasm. Batman does. Which is just odd. The movie's gonna be called Mask of the Phantasm, then they probably should focus on the Phantasm. And not focus on Bruce Wayne's puppy dog love of his youth. But anyway, rating of Batman Mask of the Phantasm, I'm gonna give it a nice solid 7 for right now. I think that'll be my score. I did enjoy it. It's a good movie. It's definitely not something that I wouldn't show anything to my nephews and nieces because they probably wouldn't care. But it's definitely not something that it was marketed as. It's not a movie for kids, which would explain why it failed so miserably. But I did like it. And I'm glad I own it. I think I own it. Do I own it on 4K? I have it sitting on my shelf. It's been there for like probably a year now. Kept saying I was going to watch it and I never watched it. But when I watched it here, I don't think it was 4K. So my digital copy might only be Blu-ray. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's a cartoon. You're not going to upscale that much. Yeah. Batman Mask of the Phantasm, 7 out of 10. Alright. We got 2 more movie films. Practical Magic and From Dusk Till Dawn. So I'll do the same thing. You got 10 seconds if you want to hear a specific one, and I will pick it for you. I'm hearing no one, so we'll talk about Practical Magic. Now, I wanted to see this because there's a new one coming out, even though I'm kind of curious in the second one. I have this thing with nostalgia movies where characters, or they make a movie bringing back characters from a long time ago. Like I enjoy the idea of that nostalgia and the idea of how they're going to use the same characters from obviously a different time and bring them into modern times. Especially since the actors are older now. So I've been seeing the trailers for Practical Magic 2, and I'm like, I need to see Practical Magic 1. And I think I saw it at some point. I think my ex showed it to me, but I couldn't tell you if he did or not because I probably fell asleep watching it because we'd always watch two movies, mine while we're eating dinner, and then his afterwards. And after I eat and I had a couple drinks, I'm probably falling asleep. So I'm assuming that's what happened because I know he likes this movie and I know there's no way he wouldn't have shown it to me. But I have no memory of this film aside from clips I've seen here and there. So this movie released October 16th, 1998. It's an hour and 44 minutes. It's PG-13, which I found to be a little surprising. Two witch sisters, raised by their eccentric aunts in a small town, face closed-minded prejudice and a curse which threatens to prevent them from ever finding lasting love. Obviously, this is starring Sandra Bullock as Sally Owens, Nicole Kidman as Jillian Owens. I didn't realize Stockard Channing was in this as Aunt Frances, Diane Wiest, who I adore, as Aunt Jet. You do have Jimmy, which is Goran Visionjic. And apparently the super attractive detective is Aidan Quinn, who apparently he was really attractive in the 90s. Not that I'm the beacon of what to tell you who's attractive or not. I didn't find him attractive, but they were talking about how gorgeous he was in this movie. And I was like, okay, he's Greg Hallett. You know who else is in this? Margot Martindale, character actor Margot Martindale. I did like her quite a bit. She's always funny. This movie's sitting at a 6.4 on IMDb out of 110,000 ratings. Only 356 reviews now. This definitely feels like a 90s movie. You know, they have those montage sequences of a character walking about town with music playing, or going through something and there's music playing, a current pop song. Definitely get that vibe from this movie, which I greatly enjoy as somebody who grew up in the 80s. So, 90s. Grew up in the 90s. Was not growing up in the 80s. So I was sitting there, like, they had a Faith Hill song I was singing along to. I was like, all right, like, I like this. Some rom-com stuff. I did see that some of the complaints about the movie is how it's so many different genres rolled up into one. And it really is. There's, comedy. There's romance. There's some horror and spooky stuff in there. There's like police procedural stuff where there's an investigation. There's abuse and violence against women. Like, there's a lot going on in this movie that I was not expecting. And they don't really shy from it either. Like, it's very much like in your face. And they talk about it. The characters talk about it. Like they're not trying to hide that Nicole Kidman got hit by a man. Like, they're not trying to hide that. She shares it with people. Like, it's very, here you go. And it's just, all right. I understand why people think it's a little too much. I think that all the themes happening around each other, I think it works fine. I didn't mind it because I think they were each done pretty well. I don't know why I get so yawny whenever I do YouTube lives. I mean, I mean, it gave me like Charmed vibes, obviously. You know, we were very witchy in the 90s. You know, Charmed, The Craft, this. Like, we were very much into this type of stuff. Oh, I did like that. Let's see, what else? But I was really surprised at how dark some of the stuff got. Like, some of the magic was like, we gotta stab him in the eyes. And I'm like, are they gonna stab him in the eyes? There's a lot of witch stuff. Oh, yeah, like Buffy, Angel. It was very, very much dark. Obviously, some of the CGI doesn't hold up because, you know, this is 30 years ago almost. So you can't expect CGI to hold up. But it looked fine. I wasn't sitting there like, ooh, God, that looks terrible. I was disappointed that this wasn't like an upscaled version of the movie. Like, this wasn't like a 4K re-release. This was just a re-release. I was hoping that it'd be, you know, like, just higher definition, to be honest. Look, you went from number 2 to number 1. But there was some good practical effects as well. Not everything was CGI, so I just thought it would be. That's all. You know, because it's a re-release. Like the re-release of Rocky Horror Picture Show. That was a 4K re-release, and that looked amazing. But when it started with like I think it's Warner Brothers logo or whatever logo it was, like that is grainy. I mean, the movie still looks fine. It just wasn't, you know, upscale. That's all. Well, good. You're here just in time for Practical Magic. Which is probably the one you wanted to hear about anyway. Oh, here's the ice cream truck. The acting was good for the most part. There was sometimes I was like, you know, it's a little stiff. Like Sandra Bullock has Sandra Bullock-isms, you know. And usually I really like her. But even in the movies that I like her in, she does, it's hard to describe how she acts. I don't even know how to describe it. It just comes off really wooden, the way that she talks sometimes. She doesn't have that, she doesn't express things well. Only sometimes. There were other times in the movie where she was great. But there's certain moments. Yeah, she is very unique. And it's so hard to describe. Like, even like in Miss Congeniality, like when she's trying to be like the tough cop part, it comes off really odd and kind of forced when they're like looking at her like she's some ugly tomboy. And she's just like there with her coffee, like, this crime scene needs to be matched. Like, whatever she says. Like, it's very not good. You know? But then the rest of the movie, she's great. Like, yeah, like, it feels really forced. Like, I'm supposed to dislike her in this way or something. I don't know. But there's moments of that in the beginning of this where she's like, I'll never find love again. And it's just like, don't stare at me. Like, is that the emotion you were going for? Like, is that what we want? So, I don't know. It's odd. But overall, I mean, they didn't like to make me hate the movie or anything. Pitter patter, feet. And then, like, you know, there's like stuff like weird things like we eat chocolate cake for breakfast. And it's like, is that a thing? Like, do people want to do that? And I mean, maybe it's just like the pre-diabetic boomer in me, but it's just like, is that really appealing? But the way they say it and the way it's like brought up makes it feel really like forced comedy or like something like that, you know? Like, we have cake for breakfast. Wow, I can't wait to have cake for breakfast. Woo, woo. You know, like, rich people do that. Were they rich? What do you want? What do you want? You can come out. She's waving me to pat because she knows she's not allowed to jump on people. Ow! Okay, no lickies, no lickies. I don't need your tongue on my flesh. She always jumps when she's not supposed to, so. Now I'm teaching her bad habits. I did like the spells. It did make me, I literally just read that on my review. It does excite me to see the new one, is what I wrote in my review. Because it does. I've talked about this like with the idea of nostalgia. Like, I'm curious how these characters are going to transition to 30 years later. I mean, obviously it's not going to be 30 years in the movie because her daughters aren't going to be that old. But it's always interesting to me to see, like, one, why are we doing a sequel 30 years later? And two, how do you make one? Like, how do you bring these characters who were in such a very 90s film to modern times with cell phones and computers and iPads and the internet, a touch of a button? Like, you know, like, it's very interesting, especially with the witchcraft stuff. And I really hope that they keep the magic stuff in it. Like, I'm obviously they're going to, because her concern is that her daughter is getting into dark magic and stuff like that. But I really hope that they don't shy away from it. Because, like, there's, like, multiple scenes in this movie where they're making stuff and they're talking about things matter-of-factly. Like, we need, you know, the Eye of Nude, and we need this, and we need that. And it's all of it taken very seriously. And I hope they keep that energy in this. And it's not, like, played up for laughs. So, I also really hope that it's not full of CGI. I know there's going to be CGI in it, but I'm really hoping that they do have some practical effects like this one had. Like, I don't need a CGI spoon going around a cup. Okay? Give me a practical effects spoon. I don't know. I didn't like how the ants disappeared, but I mean, it makes sense that they disappeared for most of the movie, but I was like, oh, like, this is fine. Because I feel like they were underutilized characters. Because, like, Stockard Channing and Diane Wiest are, like, really good actresses. And I was hoping to see more of them doing things. But they just kind of disappeared away. Yeah, the public demands real spoons, damn it. I don't know. I did enjoy it a lot more than I thought I would. I mean, I figured I would like it. I mean, you know, it's a very likable cast. Sandra Bullock, Nicole Kidman. I mean, young Nicole Kidman. Modern Nicole Kidman's a little iffy. And it's the same thing with modern Sandra Bullock. I'm very curious what they're going to do with them. Because I feel like the characters that they are in this movie are not the kind of people that they are now. And would they be willing to be those type of characters again? Because Nicole Kidman plays a lot of serious roles now. And, like, they're more poised now as people, right? So are they willing to go back to being kind of goofy-ish characters? Or having that whimsy? That's always my concern when you have people come back to things. Like, can they recapture that essence that they had 30 years? I mean, obviously they could be more mature, but are they going to have that same essence? So, when's that movie come out? When's the second one? Pardon, come out. Do you know? At the top of your head? Put the lime in the coconut. Oh yeah, I think it'll be fun. And Stockard Channing's back in it again. Oh my god, it comes out September 11th. September 11th, 2026. So it's still a few weeks away, about a month away. So I think so too. I think it'll be fine. I think that people might, I don't know. I really don't know, because the movie, this first one was, like I said, it's enjoyable, but it was also, where's my IMDb? Like, this movie wasn't a raging success. $75 million budget, only made $94 million. So again, not a big success. And I think people, you know, weird religious people in the conservative 90s talk about witchcraft and all that stuff. So you kind of get a little iffy in there. Exactly. It grew with a following, and it grew with rentals, you know, renting videos and stuff. Which is the same thing as, like, From Dusk Till Dawn, which is the next movie we're going to talk about. Like, it's box office flops that find new life in the rental market, selling VHS and DVDs. So, very much so. They had to rebuild the house, though, because apparently this was a fake house. I did talk about Batman. You missed out, buddy. That was also a massive flop. Didn't even make its budget back. $6 million, only made $5.8 million. Whew. That was the previous movie, man. Previous movie. But all right. Practical Magic. I had a good theater experience. There was 2 ladies back here, same spot as the other couple who went shut up during Tony. They were talking quite a bit, and then they left for like 10 minutes together, and then they came back. But everybody seemed to enjoy it. Oh, they did show a trailer for Transformers, the 4K of Transformers, so excited about that. That I want to go see. I'm hoping that it's showing at my theater, because it is a Phantasm event. I will pay the $16 to go see it. I don't want to, but I will. Because I don't think I've ever seen it in theaters. I mean, I may have as a teenager when Regal did the kids' movies. That noise, that click, click, is the fridge. But God, I know I didn't see it in theaters when it came out, because I, wasn't in existence, I don't believe. Or at least not in consciousness. So, yeah, I would love to see that. And that's a 4K. I mean, as 4K as a cartoon from the 80s can be. I'll tell my brother to see if he wants to go see it. Or maybe he wants to bring his kids to go see it. If it's playing at our theater. I mean, if it's not, and he wants to drive to another theater, that's fine by me. So, anyway, Practical Magic. Focus, focus, focus. Practical Magic. Let's give it a rating. I did enjoy it. My complaints about it didn't ruin the movie. Yeah, you can't do it that way. My tripod's there. Because the table's here, and then the tripod's here. But I have that extendy arm like this. I don't know. I do think it's funny how hot this cop was, apparently. And I didn't think he was hot at all. And he put his tongue down Sandra Bullock's mouth all the time. I don't know if you've seen that, but please don't lick my kneecap. Every time they kissed, even if it was just like a slight kiss, he was like just jamming his tongue in down her throat, and I'm just like, Jesus. It's like, why is he doing so much? Because I feel like, tongue kissing is a next step. It was just really noticeable because you would see it, from the side, and you just say, hey, 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 like he's doing karate with his tongue. I'm just like, God, what are you doing? But apparently he's super hot because she fell for him really hard. I don't know. But anyway, rating. I'm leaning between a 7.5 and an 8. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, I might end up liking it if I watch it again, even more. To kind of see more details and stuff like that. And as I said, I am looking forward to the new one now, much more, now that I know these characters a bit from this. And now I need to buy it to add it to my collection, because I don't own Practical Magic, so now I need to get it. And it does come on 4K, so I think recently they made a 4K, because I looked it up, and it's Warner Brothers, so the digital codes expire. On the back of the case, it says it expires in 2028. So that means that it's a recent release. So, because otherwise they expire very quickly. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, I already own the craft. Although we could do with a better version of the craft, but I'll stick with my DVD copy for now. Get all the witchy movies. Get them all. So, Practical Magic, 7.5, 8. And that brings us to our final movie of this stream, which this is actually a little bit of a shorter stream, apparently. I know, but the copy I have now has sentimental value. Final movie is From Dusk Till Dawn, which I have not seen, but it was one of my dad's. He really liked this movie. It's an hour and 48 minutes. It released January 19th, 1996, which January is not a good time for movies to be released, for the most part. And obviously it's rated R. This was written by Quentin Tarantino and Robert Kurtzman. And it's very obvious that Quentin Tarantino had a lot to do with his writing. You've never seen it? And it's directed by Robert Rodriguez, who is, obviously he's a director, but he's a very grindhouse guy. He did the Spy Kids movies apparently too. I think he's Mexican. I mean, he's American, but of Mexican heritage. Because a lot of his movies have a lot of Spanish characters and Mexican characters. This is the movie with Salma Hayek and the foot stuff. Yes, it is. He's close friends with Quentin Tarantino and Kevin Smith. Which I knew she was in this, but I didn't. Either I forgot about the foot thing or what. But that's how you know this is a very Quentin Tarantino written movie. There's a lot of feet in this. Alright. 2 criminals and their hostages unknowingly seek temporary refuge in a truck stop populated by vampires with chaotic results. they're called the Gecko Brothers. The Gecko Brothers, two dangerous outlaws in a wild crime spree, kidnap a father and his two kids and head south to a seedy Mexican bar to hide out in safety. Soon after they realize they're not in a typical bar, as the entire place begins to teem with vicious, blood-sucking vampires. With the odds stacked greatly against them, the geckos are forced to team up with their hostages in order to make it out alive. Okay. So, this movie, I remember my dad would put it on after my parents' divorce, and I remember not really watching it. I know why he watched it, but he definitely liked it. So you have two brothers, which are George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino, who look nothing alike, because you have super hot George Clooney, and then not attractive at all Quentin Tarantino. And it's like, oh, they're the brothers. Okay. George Clooney is in jail. Quentin Tarantino breaks them out. And they're on the run. And they have a kidnapped... Hey, I know ugly, okay? I know ugly. They have a hostage in their car who's a bank teller lady. And everything's very orange, you know, because everything's very hot. Desert, Texas stuff. There's a lot of cameos in this movie. But they show you very early on that Quentin Tarantino is a psychopath. And that he is a creep to the max type of character. But the thing is, he's not even that good of an actor. Like, I know he's been in quite a few movies, like Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. Yeah, everybody has that tan sheen on them. He usually puts himself in his own movies. But he's not great. He definitely is a big, huge creep in this, and I think he plays the creep really well. Because I just kind of picture him, because there's shots of him looking at Juliette Lewis's feet. And I just picture him on set looking at her feet, and the reaction that we see on film is probably his real reaction to her feet, because we all know that he's really into feet. So he's probably literally not acting in those parts, because that's just who he is. But he's very emotionally disturbed in this movie. He hallucinates people saying things to him. He has no impulse control, and he's very violent. George Clooney is violent, but he's also he's not a killer unless he has to be. He's suave, and obviously he's handsome, but he's still pretty ruthless. But he's much more calculated than Quentin Tarantino's character. So, but yeah, so he ends up creeping on the bank lady. I mean, is this spoilers? Are we worried about spoilers for this movie? But he ends up killing the bank lady, which is in a very violent way. Because you could tell, though, he was like creeping on her, because he like has her sit next to her on the bed and has her take off her shoes. And then you see him like looking at her feet. And then the next time we see her, she's dead. So they need new hostages, and they come upon a family, which is Harvey Keitel, who, again, is in Quentin Tarantino movies a lot. His daughter, Juliette Lewis, who's Kate. And then his son, who is Scott, played by Ernest Liu, who is Chinese. So you have the father, daughter, and their Chinese, and his Chinese son. I only say that because they bring up the fact that he's Chinese, because obviously Harvey Keitel and Juliette Lewis are not Chinese. So it comes up in the conversation. Um, Harvey Keitel is really punching up the ham factor. Like, he is giving you this intense performance when it's probably not called for. It's fine, but it's really like, he's a former pastor. He lost his faith after his wife died a terrible death in a car accident, and now they're traveling somewhere together in a motorhome. Juliette Lewis, I'm assuming, is of age. I don't know. I don't think they really mentioned it. They might have mentioned it. I might have missed it. And like, her acting is really off too, because sometimes she's like really good, and other times she's like, Dad, I don't know why we're on this trip. You know, kind of like weird, stunted Valley Girl, but like no reason for her to be like that. And unfortunately, the son, Ernest, well, Scott, he was not good. He was really bad. And they made a point in the credits, opening credits, that said, and introducing Ernest Liu as Scott Fuller. Like, they gave him his own like credit thing, and he was not good. He was really bad. He had like no reactions to stuff. Like, even when they go to this bar and there's topless women, like, he's not even like, oh, you know, like excited. He's just kind of like, like, that's it. You know, if you like it, I'll say I did like it, but he's not a good actor in this. It's very interesting because like George Clooney carries this movie because he's really good at this. Like, it feels like George Clooney is the anchor to this film, and everybody else is just kind of performing around him. The whole thing, though, it begins like a crime movie, right? It feels like a Pulp Fiction type of movie, like a grindhouse crime movie, where there's violence, gore, romantic overtones, you know? And it's all very much like grounded in that. Until they get to Mexico and they go to this bar, which I can't even say the name of the bar on YouTube. Okay? It's the word for female upper body parts, twister. But it's alliteration. So the Tata Twister, I guess I'll say. But it's not Tata. It's the other T word. That's the name of the bar. And it has like a neon sign of like a hand pinching Tatas. And I was like, I'm sorry, that's the name of the place? That's where we're going? And it sure is. Cheech Marin plays 3 different characters in this movie. None of them related. I thought they were going to be like cousins or brothers. He's not. He plays 3 different roles in this film, which is funny. But they get to the bar. It's very, you know, still very grindhousey. You know, it's very trashy, bikers, truckers type of stuff. Danny Trejo is the bartender. Never in my life have I thought this, but he was hot in this movie. I mean, he's obviously younger because this movie's from 1996, but he was pretty hot. I mean, maybe it's his vest with his muscly arms hanging out. I don't know. But I was like, oh, Danny Trejo, can I have a drink? He's very good looking in this. I mean, people are more attractive when they're younger, right? So, then we get old, guys. Then we get old. Let's see. Selma Hayek is obviously gorgeous in this. I thought she was going to have a bigger role, though. Only because, I mean, I know she wasn't a big actress name back then, but only because her character we're doing spoilers, right? Her character isn't just like a vampire. She's like a snake woman, and she has like a name. What's her name? Satanico Pandemonium. And they have a huge like piece where she's dancing with a snake and everything. But at some point she transforms into like a snake woman. And I thought she was going to be like a high priestess or like the one that everybody else answers to, you know, because she's revered in this place. But she's not. And she, you know, gets taken care of. After, of course, she pours the alcohol down her leg directly into Quentin Tarantino's mouth with his foot, or with her foot in his mouth. I was just like, what are we doing here? What is going on? Stop that. And then that's when the movie took a much different change. It stopped being this grittier grindhouse crime movie, and it became this B horror movie. And I found it to be a little disappointing because then it changed into like an Evil Dead, Tales from the Crypt type of horror movie where you have all these creatures and, you know, the extra gore and gore splattering on people and it gets in their mouths. Like that kind of comedy-esque horror movie. And it's just like, oh. So it was a little disappointing because I think it's not scary. And I think you could have made it a little scarier if they would have made it so campy at that point. But what are you gonna do? Tom Savini is in this movie. He's like a special effects guru kind of guy in real life. In this, his name is Romance Machine. He has a cod piece on his pants that comes down, and it has a pistol with two like revolver things on each side. So it looks like, you know, that. Did I enjoy it? It sounds awful. I enjoyed it for what it is. I did enjoy it for what it is. It's a kind of movie that like you could watch with your friends and like enjoy that way. You can't watch this thinking it's going to be some masterpiece type of film. Like it's fun in a bad way, if that makes sense. Fred Williamson is in it. He's a big actor from blaxploitation films. But then, yeah, I don't know. Let's see. But his codpiece gun was again underutilized because he uses it, I think, once. And then eventually he gets transformed into a vampire, and he didn't use it then either. I think he should have used it. There's weird vampire rules. I mean, it's all the normal ones, but apparently their bodies get mushy or less sturdy when they're vampires. So that's kind of an odd thing, but they use it in a really fun way. I mean, the character has a shotgun. It's rated R. Yeah, definitely rated R. Has a shotgun in one hand and a baseball bat in another to make a cross. And he uses the baseball bat to cock it. But at one point he jams it into a vampire's stomach, and it gets stuck. So then he does this and uses the vampire's body to cock the shotgun and then shoots through him to shoot other vampires. It's that kind of stuff that's like, okay, we're going into the camp zone with this movie. The special effects are good. There's, you know, questionable CGI in it. It's very much like the Tales from the Crypt movie I watched, Demon Knight, this past year. It's very much like that 90s type of practical effects and people in costumes and suits and stuff, and then you have composites or sped up footage of something melting, things like that. Like it's very much in that. Yeah, I mean it's fine. Again, that's part of the charm of it being like a B horror movie at the end. But the whole beginning is very, like I said, gritty, realistic type of stuff. There was like one part that was kind of weird. Quentin Tarantino gets turned, and like at one point he has like a kind of like a mask stuff on to make his head look bigger, like a vampire. And it's like, oh okay, but then they switch back to his regular face, and it was really odd. I don't understand why they would do it that way. I was like, why is the camera shaking? It's because somebody put their face directly on the leg of the tripod. There's lots of nudity. Lots of upper lady nudity. So that's probably why my dad liked it so much. I'm trying to find the box office. This is another huge box office flop. $19 million budget, $25 million made. So 19 and 25, so just $6 million more of the estimated budget. Those characters do have issues, that's what I mean. Just like how Batman had his issues with his parents and stuff. And falling in love and all that. And Practical Magic Girls. We didn't even talk about that. Oh my god. I didn't talk about their issues. I'm sorry. We can go back to it. But yeah. There are 2 more movies in this franchise. There's a prequel, and I think there's a second one as well. And there was a TV show for this, From Dusk Till Dawn. I couldn't tell you if they were any good. I don't actually want to see them. But there are... This is a trilogy and a TV show. If I found like a good deal, like a box set, I would buy it. Just so I can watch them. But I'm not going to search it out. Yeah, there's a lot of... And again, every other character... Juliette Lewis, she was okay, like I said, so... there's some interesting, like, fake music in this movie. I'm assuming it's fake music, where the lyrics are, like, very pertaining to what the scenes are. You know, that I shot him dead in the truck, and his blood got on the walls, and it's just like, okay. But there was a band in the club, and I liked their music. And at one point, they had human body part guitars, which looked really gross. And they're like strumming it, and there's like a head on the bottom of them. Yeah, there's 3 movies in this franchise and a TV show. 3 movies and a TV show. It's crazy. If I was going to rate this movie, From Dusk Till Dawn, I did like the ending. They like show the building from behind, and it's like a cliffside, and there's like the building is actually the top of like an ancient temple, like a Mayan looking Aztec type of temple. And I thought that was really cool. I wish they would have did more with that, but... And you can see like all the trucks and stuff that they've been throwing down there. Kind of like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, how they collect people. Or like in X, where Pearl, they're collecting people and they dump the vehicles and stuff like that. The movie is not great. It's fun to watch in the if you take it as what it is, that it devolves into this comedy thing. I think it would have been more interesting if they would have kept it as a more serious grindhouse film, but I think it's fine for what it is. UPS is here. Let's see if anybody gets up to notice. Nope. Nobody got up to notice. Nothing. Nothing from these guys. Thanks for keeping me safe. But it's definitely like, what are you doing? She's resting her head on the side of my leg. I would watch it with you, Prince, just because it's just that kind of movie. It's a movie you would watch and kind of joke around with. But it's not a movie you're like, oh my god, this is my favorite film ever. It's the best movie ever. So I'll give it a 6. Like, it's fine. And it's enjoyable to watch with people, but it's definitely not a movie that I'm like, God, I can't wait to watch this again. It's actually sitting at a 7.2 on IMDb. That's pretty high. Huh. Interesting. You wouldn't watch it alone. I watched it alone. I don't know. Maybe a 6.5. Like I said, the first half is a very good grindhousey film. So yeah, it's not terrible. I think you would find some enjoyment in it if you were to watch it. I know how much you love tatas, so this is usually the part where I would recap and we would end the stream. But I want to go back to Practical Magic. Okay, Practical Magic Part 2. And we did talk about their issues. Obviously, so Sandra Bullock has issues with her magic. She doesn't want to be a witch. She doesn't want to practice magic. She falls in love with a man. Obviously, he dies because that's the curse of the Owens women. So she's very anti-magic. So that's her issue. Cole Kidman's issues are, she's more of a free spirit, so she's just loving everybody. They made a sequel video game? For what? From Dusk Till Dawn? It's a 2001 third-person shooter video game based on the events that transpired directly after the end of it. The release for Windows is distributed by... Continues the story of Seth Gecko. That is really weird. Vampire infiltration of the prison. Vampires pose as inmates, murder guards, and a warden, begin a violent rampage. He gets access to weapons during the chaos and fights to survive. First and third person, full 360 camera, slow motion, stop motion modes. 45 cutscenes. Interesting. I wonder if it'll ever get re-released. Add it to Game Pass. I'll play it. Let's go. Make it happen. And there's also, this is really random, there's a theme of womanhood in Practical Magic, where all the ladies come together. Even they don't like the sisters because of their witchcraft. They all come together to help exorcise the demons. But anyway, now I go back to recap here. Batman the Mask of the Phantasm, I did give it a 7. Because while I do enjoy it a lot more as an adult, it's definitely not a children's film, and it's very obvious why it flopped so hard. Tony, which is a Regal mystery movie on August 10th, releases August 21st, which is about Anthony Bourdain as a teenager finding himself. I gave a 4.5 because I thought it was boring. I thought the main character was a god-awful human, and the fact that he didn't improve until the very, very end of the film, I thought it was boring to watch him. Why do I want to watch a terrible person for an hour and 40 minutes, and then in the last 6 minutes he has a slight inkling of being a better person? If it's true, it's true. That's fine. Maybe people who enjoy Anthony Bourdain more will get more out of the movie. For me, I didn't enjoy my time with that. I was actually bored. There was some funny stuff in it, but still bored. Practical Magic. Watched it to get ready for the new one. I ended up really liking it. I enjoyed the themes of womanhood. I liked how it did touch upon a lot of genres, and it wasn't afraid to really touch upon magic and the darkness of their magic either. I gave that a 7.5 to 8, kind of figuring that one out a bit. And then From Dusk to Dawn, the mishmash story of a crime thriller mixed with campy horror. I gave a 6. Yeah, so Tony got rave reviews. Tony got rave reviews from early screenings, and people are really liking it. I don't know if it's because people know who Anthony Bourdain is and they can see him in the character, but I don't know anything about Anthony Bourdain, so I can't see him in the character because I don't know anything about him. So that's what I'm thinking is why people enjoyed it so much more than me, is because they have that. They have that pre-notion, what's the word I used? Like they have the information already for the man who he will become. So they can see how he becomes that man better than I do. But literally, he just lies, cheats, steals, stalks this girl hundreds of miles. He's from New Jersey, and he stalks her all the way to Provincetown, like Massachusetts. Like, he's really kind of psycho. And he admits this in real life. Like, he admits it. But it's just not a good film when you just sit there waiting for him to become a better person, and he never does. So, I don't know. And after Antonio Banderas was so kind to him. But yeah, that's that. That's all 4 movies. Next week is another Regal Mystery movie, which might be Camp Miasma, which I really actually hope it is, because I do want to see that. I can't even say the title of that movie here on YouTube. Yeah. He does say that he's from New Jersey, yes. And that's where most of us crazy people are from. I don't know what other movies. Maybe I'll go see Spider-Man as well. And then I think a lot of stuff's releasing at the end of next week, which isn't helpful to me. I'm not going to see Ice Cream Man, so don't worry about that. AI slop. But I can go home now and I can put From Dusk Till Dawn on the shelf along with Batman Mask of the Phantasm. And we are working our way through that movie collection. We really are. We are working through that. I mean, if I'm watching 2 physical medias per week, that's a lot. That's a lot more than 0 per week. So, yeah, I've already gotten some spoilers for Spider-Man. I'm really avoiding stuff for it as much as I can. Like, I know who Sadie Sink is playing, but I'm trying to avoid as much as I can for it, and it's going decent. Whenever I see something for it, I just swipe away. I don't want to see it. But I am glad that we are working through this physical media collection because I have hundreds of things I need to watch. Yeah, it's a lot more than 0 because we would just do like a bargain bin bag review, right? And that would only be every once in a while when there wasn't a mystery movie. So to go do at least one a week is a big deal. It's a big deal. So now that I'm doing 1 to 2 a week is a lot. Helps me get through these movies. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Friday. I'm not going to go to the movies tomorrow just because I'm going to chill here, do some cleaning, because I don't know what time I got to find out what time I got to leave by Saturday. But since we did this live today, this afternoon, I will be streaming tonight. I'm going to text Vetter when I get done and see if he is playing Gears of War tomorrow, because if he's playing Gears of War tomorrow, I will play Battlefield tonight. I think the actual Gears of War beta is alive tonight. So, but I don't want to stream it 2 nights in a row because I've got to play Battlefield at some point, because I want to play Battlefield. She's sitting next to me. Uh-oh. Did they come back on? Did it come back on? It froze and it got a reconnecting thing. Okay, looks like it came back on. Yikes. I've never had that happen before. Yeah, so I'll see about what's happening tonight, and then we'll do the opposite tomorrow, and then Saturday will probably be more of a Rivals. I did promise you extended streams since it is my 8-year anniversary of being a Twitch affiliate, so don't forget to follow me there as well, as including liking this video and subscribing to my YouTube. So we'll have to get ourselves started early and staying up early, or staying up later. I'd rather start early than stay up later, to be honest, because I still got to get up early for the dogs. So yeah, I'm glad you can make it back too. Now you can rewatch the Batman part when I post it tomorrow, and I'll put timestamps in it so you can click on which part you want to watch. Yeah, like and subscribe, kids. Come on. It's showing we got 3 likes, so not a lot. I don't know how many. Dog tail wagging. I didn't see if I got any subs or anything. I can't see that till I click out of this. So, doubtful. I know I'm scratching your behind. Yep, 0 subs. But anyway, let me go ahead and hop off, because these guys probably want to eat soon. And I will see you tonight. Oh, I only have 3 for May. Wow. I'll gladly take 4. I will try to be live tonight. It's probably going to be like 7, because that's usually when I let the dogs out again. So. We'll see. All right, let me go. Let's give this internet a rest. Okay. All right, thanks for watching. Goodbye.